But it was true. It was like the one thing that you look at what happened with politics this year, people sort of stripped away a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what you believed in.
That was it?
It was quick. That was it.
That was it.
He looked at me like, hello, like that.
You're friends with Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, and you campaigned for them.
Like some of those politicians were afraid to say what Donald Trump was saying, and they ended up being left in the dust because people were a little like, well, he's got a point in the sense of we're playing things a little too close.
Trump's reaction to being roasted by Chris Tucker and Jamie Foxx reveals everything you need to know about his fragile ego. While most politicians can laugh at themselves, Trump immediately went defensive, claiming Fox's impression was the worst ever, a classic Trump move when he's been humiliated. In the next 10 minutes, I'll break down exactly how these comedy legends strategically dismantled Trump's public persona piece by piece. You'll see how Tucker's energy combined with Fox's spot-on impressions created the perfect storm that left Trump looking like a deflated balloon animal at a kid's party that nobody showed up to. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us, so did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Remember when Trump used to strut around like he was comedy-proof? Like that annoying kid in class who insisted he was winning even when he was losing at everything? Those were the days.
You know what that means?
No.
The perception is, okay, the perception in America was the white man, Donald Trump, can be president. The woman can't do it. Perception.
It's true. I do like him. I met him. I didn't say much, but I said hello. Believe me.
Have you met Donald Trump?
I met Donald Trump, and I said hello to him. He said, hello. That's good.
Whatever person you voted for, there was a lot of things that were sort of addressed about, like, maybe we were playing things a little too close.
Before Chris Tucker and Jamie Foxx took him down a notch, Trump had managed to build this whole fantasy world where he was both untouchable and universally adored. For years, Trump crafted his public image like it was made of solid gold, just like those tacky buildings with his name plastered all over them. He wasn't just selling properties, he was selling a character. Donald Trump, the tough businessman who couldn't be rattled, the guy who always came out on top. And weirdly enough, this act worked for a really long time. The cornerstone of Trump's pre-roast persona was his bizarre habit of just declaring himself beloved. "Everybody loves me" became his unofficial motto, repeated so many times you'd think it was printed on his underwear. It didn't matter that polls, protests, and plenty of celebrities openly couldn't stand him. In Trump's mind, universal adoration was just one more thing he could claim to own. What made this strategy particularly strange was how he'd insist on this popularity while simultaneously being one of the most insulting figures in public life. He could call someone a loser or nasty in the morning, and by afternoon be confused why they weren't sending him thank you cards. The man operated with the emotional awareness of a toddler wielding a sledgehammer at a china shop. Even his spectacular business failures somehow got twisted into success stories. Those Atlantic City casinos that went belly up faster than a fish in a desert? Just part of the master plan, according to Trump. Through sheer force of repetition and confidence that would make a cult leader jealous, he'd reframe these disasters as strategic moves only a genius could understand. His ability to fail upward should have earned him an Olympic medal in narrative gymnastics. Perhaps the most cringe-worthy part of Trump's pre-roast persona was his desperate need to name-drop celebrities. He'd claim deep friendships with famous people who barely remembered meeting him, like some high schooler bragging about a girlfriend in Canada that nobody's ever seen. Chris Tucker experienced this firsthand, with Trump later exaggerating their brief interaction into something meaningful. As Tucker himself put it, "I met Donald Trump and I said hello to him. He said hello. Good. That was it. It was quick. Not exactly the bromance of the century Trump made it out to be. This behavior repeated itself countless times. Trump would meet someone famous for 30 seconds at a party, and suddenly they were best buds in all his stories. It was like watching someone create an entire friendship album from a single accidental photobomb. For the longest time, Trump's strategy of controlling the narrative through boastful statements worked like a charm. He'd dominate conversations, overwhelm critics with a tsunami of self-praise, and never, ever admit weakness. His entire brand depended on maintaining the illusion that he was the toughest guy in the room, someone who dished it out but could never be on the receiving end of a joke. The problem with building a public persona on such shaky ground is that it doesn't take much to knock it over. Trump had constructed himself as a character who couldn't be mocked because he was already in on the joke, except he wasn't. He was painfully serious about his own greatness, and nothing reveals that kind of insecurity faster than professional comedians with sharp tongues and sharper observations. Those sharp-tongued comedians with keen observations? They weren't just any funny people, they were Chris Tucker and Jamie Foxx, a comedy duo whose contrasting styles created the perfect storm of humiliation for the man who claimed to be unmockable. When these two titans of comedy decided to focus their talents on Trump, what followed wasn't just a roast. It was a masterclass in comedic dismantling that had the audience literally in tears. It all started with Chris Tucker's deceptively simple question: is Donald Trump your president? Seems harmless enough, right? Wrong. That innocent little question was like pulling the pin on a comedy grenade. Tucker's machine gun delivery style, the same energy that made him a superstar in movies like Rush Hour, set the perfect stage for what was about to happen. Tucker's rapid-fire comedy approach works because he doesn't give you time to recover from one joke before he hits you with another. And when he started recalling his meaningless interaction with Trump, the audience was already losing it. See, Trump loves to name-drop celebrities and pretend they're besties, but Tucker wasn't having any of that nonsense. His high-energy delivery style turned Trump's pompousness into the punchline faster than you could say fake billionaire. But while Tucker was warming up the crowd, Jamie Foxx was quietly loading his comedy weapon of choice. If Tucker's comedy was a machine gun, Foxx's Trump impression was a surgical laser beam. And buddy, when he unleashed it, even the folks who thought they were immune to Trump jokes found themselves wheezing for air. Foxx didn't just capture Trump's voice. Any half-decent impressionist can do that. No, what made his impression devastatingly effective was how it captured those bizarre, meaningless hand gestures that somehow make Trump's supporters think he's saying something profound, when he's really just windmilling his arms like a toddler trying to stay upright. The audience was already crying with laughter from Tucker's setup when Foxx delivered the knockout punch with his impression. He nailed those trademark exaggerated pauses where Trump seems to be searching for a thought that never arrives. The way Foxx performed it, Trump's speech patterns came across like someone trying to give directions while simultaneously forgetting where they were going. You know those moments when Trump starts a sentence and then just wanders off into verbal wilderness, never to return to his original point? Foxx captured that circular, meaningless verbal meandering perfectly. What made this comedy tag team so effective was how they built on each other's momentum. Tucker would set him up, and Foxx would knock him down. It wasn't just funny, it was a layered comedic effect that showcased their mastery of the craft. Each comedian brought their unique strengths to the table, creating something greater than either could have accomplished alone. The genius of Foxx's impression wasn't just that it was accurate. It was that it exposed something fundamental about Trump that his supporters tried desperately to ignore. The man can't complete a coherent thought. Behind all the boasting and bluster, there's often just nothing. Empty calories. Verbal cotton candy that dissolves the moment you try to find substance in it. When Foxx embodied Trump's ridiculous mannerisms, he wasn't just going for cheap laughs. He was performing a comedic dissection, showing how Trump's entire brand is built on grand claims with absolutely nothing backing them up. It's all presentation with zero substance, like a fancy restaurant that serves you an empty plate with some decorative sauce smeared around it. This wasn't just comedy for the sake of laughs, though there were plenty of those. It was comedy as truth-telling. The surgical precision with which Tucker and Foxx exposed Trump's ridiculousness revealed something his supporters mistake for strength. His exaggerated gestures, his rambling speech, his inability to string together coherent thoughts, all packaged as some kind of tough guy wisdom. Comedy as truth-telling might expose the emperor's new clothes, but it's the emperor's reaction that confirms he was naked all along. After the clips of Tucker and Foxx spread across social media like wildfire, Trump had exactly two options: laugh it off like any halfway normal human being with a shred of self-awareness, or throw a nuclear-grade tantrum that would make a toddler denied ice cream look emotionally stable. Guess which path our tough guy former president chose? When you've spent years labeling other people as losers and haters, getting a taste of your own medicine should be easy to swallow, right? Wrong, not for Donnie. The man who built his entire persona on being able to handle anything crumbled faster than a sandcastle at high tide when faced with professional comedians doing what they do best. Trump's response wasn't just defensive, it was a masterclass in wounded narcissism. In true Trump fashion, he immediately fell back on his favorite line: "I never liked them anyway." This go-to defense mechanism is about as convincing as a toddler insisting they never wanted that toy they're currently screaming about. It's the kind of thing people say when they're hurt, but trying desperately to look like they don't care. But the real comedy gold came in Trump's social media meltdown. He didn't just post once. Oh no, that would suggest some level of emotional control. Instead, he unleashed a barrage of posts that screamed, "I am totally fine with this," while simultaneously proving he was anything but fine. In one breath, he declared Foxx's impression was terrible, and in the next, he accidentally complimented it as actually the best impersonation of me I've ever done of me. Nothing says "I'm bothered" quite like contradicting yourself mid-tantrum. The irony here is delicious enough to serve at a 5-star restaurant. This is the same man who made his political brand on insulting everyone, from political opponents to disabled reporters to war heroes. He nicknamed his opponents Lion Ted, Little Marco, and Crooked Hillary. He mocked physical appearances, questioned people's intelligence, and generally behaved like the meanest kid on the playground. But when the joke's on him, suddenly comedy is nasty and unfair. Trump's reaction validated everything Tucker and Fox had said about him. It proved their comedy wasn't just funny, it was accurate. When comedians joke that Trump is thin-skinned, and then Trump responds by having a complete meltdown over those very jokes, he's essentially turning himself into a walking punchline. It's like someone calling you stubborn, and you responding by stomping your foot and yelling, "I am not stubborn," at the top of your lungs. What's particularly revealing is how predictable Trump's response was. Anyone familiar with his pattern could have written his reaction before it happened. Step 1. Claim the comedians are failed and irrelevant, despite their massive success and cultural influence. Step 2. Insist you never cared about them anyway, despite having previously bragged about knowing them. Step 3. Make it abundantly clear how deeply wounded you are while insisting you're not wounded at all. For Tucker and Fox, Trump's meltdown was the cherry on top of their comedy sundae. They had effectively proven their point without having to say another word. They knew exactly what they were doing, getting under the skin of a man whose entire persona is built on the idea that nobody can get under his skin. And they succeeded spectacularly. What could have been a one-day story, just another comedy bit among thousands, became something much more significant because of Trump's inability to laugh at himself. His reaction transformed a funny moment into a revealing one. The supposedly unshakable strongman showed himself to be profoundly fragile, unable to handle the mildest form of the same medicine he's been dishing out for decades. In politics, the ability to laugh at yourself isn't just about having a sense of humor. It's about demonstrating confidence and security. When a leader can't take a joke, it raises questions about what else they can't handle. Could someone who melts down over a comedy routine really handle the pressures of international diplomacy or crisis management? Trump's reaction suggests that beneath all the bravado lies a remarkably insecure man desperately trying to convince everyone, perhaps even himself, that he's strong. What Tucker and Fox accomplished goes way beyond landing a few laughs at Trump's expense. As the research shows, their comedy did something serious journalism often fails to do. It punctured the balloon of Trump's inflated self-image in a way that actually stuck with audiences. Like Jon Stewart taking apart George W. Bush, or Colbert's legendary roast at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, this was comedy as truth-telling at its finest. The Orange Man baby's complete inability to laugh at himself only proves what real leaders already know. As Dave Chappelle wisely noted, people have said worse. Leaders who can chuckle when the joke's on them come across as actual humans rather than thin-skinned dictator wannabes. Trump's tantrum response just confirms what Tucker and Fox exposed. Beneath all that bluster is a fragile little ego in desperate need of constant validation. The emperor really is strutting around buck naked, and thanks to these comedians, everyone can see it.